Good morning, everyone. It's Michele Maher here this morning with Cathy Nesbitt. Thank you so much, Cathy, for giving me your time this morning to talk about what, the challenging times we're going through and how we can keep a positive mindset and get creative and pivot with our business. So thank you, Cathy.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. So if you want to just give us a few words about who you are and what you are all about.
Sure. So I'm Cathy Nesbitt, founder of Cathy's Crawly Composters. It's a worm composting business, indoor composting with worms. And, I started my worm business in 2002. And I've been dreaming of having a business this busy. My business is so busy. I think like my worm business is busy. At the beginning, as when we first became closed in, people were looking for things to do with the family. We've got the kids are at home and we're looking for a project. So they thought a worm bin would be a fun little project. As we got on with time, it seems it became more urgent. It became more than just a little project, but something to grow food going forward. So people are thinking about how do we grow a little bit of our own food, and worms are the soil.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. I know a lot of people are talking about that, starting a garden. I know quite a few people have already bought everything and ready to go as soon as they can, start digging and planting. But, okay. So you said it was worm composting indoors, I thought.
It's indoor composting, yes.
But then what happens with the outside worm that you were just speaking about with the gardening? Sorry.
No, that's okay. So they're different worms. The worms that are outside are soil dwellers, so they're tilling the soil and they're doing great there. The worms that I have are actually composting worms. They're indoor spoiled worms. They like the warmer temperatures.
Right,
like
right.
In the house. And we actually have this super cute system. It's called the Living Composter, and it's made in Ontario. So I think a few things are happening. People want to support local.
Yes.
Want to support Canadian manufacturer. So there's a few things that have set this particular product up for success during this time, and it's wonderful. And I also wanted to chat about the laughter yoga. I'm also doing laughter yoga, which I was introduced to laughter yoga about, I think it was 2015. I started practicing laughter. And laughter yoga is not about fancy pants or poses. It's intentional laughter exercises. We've all heard laughter's the best medicine. It is.
Yep.
Right? We can live without food and water for a few days. We probably would be grumpy and uncomfortable. We can only live without oxygen for a few minutes. And so laughter forces us, to expand our diaphragm, which, is attached to all of our organs. So it oxygenates our beautiful body without anything. Like nothing to be done. Just laugh. It's magic. So that is really helping me. It has helped me to stay in my worm business. Not everybody likes worms. They're not super sexy.
No. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not a fan of worms.
Fair enough. Right? But if we like food, if we like to eat, we have to acknowledge, or it's important to acknowledge the work that the worms are doing to prepare the soil. And then they take all the scraps, so they really are the best composting addition. So you add the worms in, and they're the ones that do the work. They turn the material into something so the plants can take up the food. So
so this is some kind of system. You put the worms in, you put the food, and then you get soil out of it?
And then you get soil, what the worms poo.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Without getting into,
Yeah, it's early. Yeah, so it's just beautiful fertilizer that the worms are making.
And of course, that's probably, exactly. It's really good for the ground. I'm in Toronto, right? So it's, it's clay. like the
Yes.
backyards are clay. It's not nice fertile ground for growing outside. So that definitely is something that that helps a lot, right? The soil from the or whatever from the worms
Yes.
would
Yeah.
definitely help to improve the soil.
Yes. Yeah. So you were
Yeah.
talking about at the beginning, I was feeling unsure, like the uncertain, like everybody, like what the heck is
Yeah.
here? What is happening? And so I have gone through, a kind of a whole roller coaster. Some days good, some days not so good. Just where I think, okay, I'm okay. And then, I had a bit of a crisis one day. I'd been in for a couple of weeks, and then I was like, okay, I better go and get some food.
Yep.
And I had heard about lineups and all of these, the procedure. When I actually experienced it, it was, I had a crisis. I thought I'd go in. I'm pretty high energy, and I love connecting with people. I love, like, even during this time, chatting with people at a distance, saying hi, asking you okay.
Yeah.
So I went into the grocery store, and it was like, well, there was no zipping around. Like, it was not like, oh, I'll zip here, I'll zip, 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 I'll go get my things. No,
No.
it's get in line, you know, I toe the line, and I just got all in my head, and I thought, oh, I was so grateful that the shelves were all stocked. I thought, how they must be working 24/7 to keep those shelf stocked. So grateful.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at one of the staff, and I just said, how are you doing? Are you okay? To the staff. And as soon as I said that, I realized I wasn't okay. And I broke down in tears, and I'm like, here I am in the grocery store bawling, and nobody could come and console me. Nobody, like everyone was kind of looking away. It was just, I find it a weird time where nobody can come and you can't hug somebody.
No.
You can't, when I think about those things, oh my gosh, it just breaks my heart. So the laughter is really helpful.
Yes, right. Right. I totally agree. I found the first time that I went to the grocery store, I just after the grocery store, I felt very depressed.
Yes.
I just felt really, really sad. When I'm here at home in my studio and I'm on Zoom doing these interviews, or I'm listening to webinars or other networking groups online, or just doing stuff related to my messaging and branding for my business, which I'm working on right now. It I'm okay. And then it's like as soon as I go out there, if I'm driving and I see all the stores that have been shut down,
Mm.
everything closed up. But I find the grocery store really, I think, I feel like everybody's fear. It's like I can pick up on everybody's fear,
Mm-hmm.
and you can feel that everybody's just trying to get in and get out, like get what they need and get out without, any interacting with anybody. And really everybody's so, making sure to stay 6 feet apart and not go, everybody's being very respectful of all that, but it just feels so, I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's really surreal, right? Compared to what we are used to from before.
Yes.
And I found that this whole situation just like initially everything kept changing so much. There was so much uncertainty that the fear really, really got to me. And I also feel like you about the roller coaster up and down thing. And speaking to a lot of people, everybody kind of feels that same way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just such strange times. And it's
Yes.
hard to believe when you think about it, before, and how much it changed. And I know those last 2 weeks in March felt like, I don't know, 2 years maybe or something,
Mm.
because everything kept changing so much in one day. It felt like maybe a day was months long, you know? That's how I found it.
Yes, yeah, time. It's long and short at the same time.
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but in terms of your business with your worm business,
Yes.
do you have an online store for these units? How you didn't have a physical location?
I don't have a physical
No.
location,
Okay.
so we're shipping by courier right now, and
Hmm.
porch pickup for prepaid orders. So they're set outside at a prearranged time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But in terms of how your business is operating, is it the same? You know, you really didn't change too much.
I haven't changed really anything other
Just
than
you have more demand.
we have such a big demand. You know, it's my husband and I work in the business,
Yes.
and we're kind of going full on. So, and because we work from home, that nothing has really changed in that way. Again,
From that
it's
perspective.
from that perspective, just that it's busier. April is Earth Month, so we're always busy in April. It's just busier than ever.
Right.
And I find it really it's really interesting with with the worm business. You know, maybe people have never had a worm bin in their life, and when I tell them
No, I've not.
you know, so, but when people call me up and they're like, okay, we want to get a worm bin, you know, whatever reason they want to get worms, and when I say that, okay, we're taking orders for 2 weeks out, sometimes they get annoyed, like they're like, 2 weeks? Why do I have to wait 2 weeks? And it's like, well, you've been waiting 50 years. 2 more weeks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm seeing some, you know, initially on social media, I saw a lot of fear, and that's why I started doing these interviews in the first place. And I've never unfollowed so many people on Facebook before as I have now. But then we were going through, you know, such a sense of community, which I feel there is a strong sense of community and everybody helping out each other. But there's also some frustration, I think, growing now, and maybe that's why people are, you know, getting upset about the 2 weeks. I think some people are getting a bit frustrated now that we've been in this for like this is like the sixth week.
It
That's
is
what I
frustrating.
kind of feel like. Some people are feeling like that's enough is enough, you know?
Well, it's the unknown. We don't know what's coming. We don't know when it's going to open up again. And for
Right.
those that aren't working, you know, although the government, I think, has done a pretty good job of looking after different groups, I know that there's still gaps. I think
Yes.
they're doing a good job of getting people money and whatnot. It must be really, really frightening. Like if you can't pay your rent, okay, so they're putting a moratorium on rent, but you're still going to have to pay it, and you're
Yeah,
going.
and all of those things require applying, and if you make a mistake applying, then, you know, it comes back to you, it takes more time. So yeah, I think the government has stepped in they stepped in very quickly to help people, which is great. Um, as for what's going to happen going forward, how we're going to open up, there's so many, like you say, so many questions right now as to how we're going to do it. So much mixed messages too. You
Yeah.
know, some provinces are wanting to open up sooner than other provinces. And so, yeah, there is a bit of frustration. But I think right now, the important thing is for everybody to, you know, keep a routine. That's my opinion. Getting up in the same, you know, roughly the same time in the morning and actually getting dressed, it sets the tone for your day and gives you some confidence, even if you are somebody who is working from home.
Mm. Yeah, agreed. Oh my gosh, you need to have some sort of, you know, and at the same time, I think we need to be gentle with each other. I read
Yes,
something
right.
on Facebook where, you know, everyone's like doing all these things, baking bread and cleaning their house and doing all these things. Good for them. That's great. You know, on the other side, you know, there was somebody that posted something about, you know, be gentle. There's people that have lost people. There's people that are sick. You know, there's so many unknowns. Maybe they're in abusive relationships and they're stuck in their house.
Oh, and that's
Like
definitely
they're not making bread.
yeah. No.
You know, so like
Exactly.
so many different situations. I think judgment needs to be put aside for the time being, and everybody dealing with this the best they can.
Definitely. That's something for sure that I have said. You know, well, I say get up at the same time, get dressed, that kind of thing. If you, you know, have one of those days when you just don't have the energy or don't feel it, then you have to, you know, let your body tell you what to do, and listen to your body, and if you need to rest, then rest, and don't feel the pressure, and don't judge yourself, because you know we are the we always judge ourselves,
We're hard, yeah,
right?
hard.
We're always hard on ourselves.
Congratulations on your Reiki one, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's a good compliment, I think, to my healing jewelry with the stones and everything. So yeah,
Tell
yeah,
me
for sure.
more about what you do, Michele, because I don't know that we've really ever had a chat. We've met at networking and whatnot, but I don't feel like I know you that well.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I do create one of a kind and limited edition jewelry, um, which I use semi-precious stones in, and I do incorporate healing stones with, you know, healing crystals, and with the powerful energies in them. I incorporate them even into statement necklaces, you know, big, well, you know, the big necklaces that actually people notice as soon as you walk in the room. So I do incorporate some things in that, as well as, of course, the single, you know, single strand bracelets like these ones that, with the different stones and lava rock that you can put essential oils on, and different things like that. So yeah.
And so how has your business been affected during this time?
So I already had an online store, but what has happened to me is I had a lot of events planned out, where I'd already purchased vendor tables,
Mm.
and one of them was canceled before even anything started being shut down. I think that was the Fem City lunch, and I had a table coming up at the Fem City luncheon. And then the next one was postponed, and then another one was postponed, and now it's been postponed again to the fall. And I don't know what's going to happen in terms of whether we'll be able to have live events with 100 people in the fall or not, right?
Mm.
Because they don't, you know, they haven't said exactly what they're talking about allowing small gatherings, but I think they mean like 10 people, not events like where we have 100. And one of them would have about 500 people. So
Mm.
I don't even know if that's going to happen in the fall. But so basically, I had lined up a lot of these events for the spring, and I was busy trying to design and create new pieces for it. And then I also was working on since January, on my branding and messaging, and I actually had a photo shoot done
Mm.
March 10th. So right before we were told to stay home, I got that photo shoot done, and I'm so glad that I did, because if not, I'd still be waiting to do it. And this way I've already had it done, and she's already been back to me with pictures. I've chosen pictures, and now it's a matter of, I was going to create a new banner, and that banner I was going to do right before one of the events, the live events I was going to, and new business cards, postcards, things like that, marketing, online, social media stuff with different messaging, incorporating talking about the healing properties of the stones, as well as color psychology, incorporating the colors of jewelry and the psychology of what that does for you.
Mm.
So that's what I was working on since January. And now I have, you know, now I'm taking this time to spend on that. getting that stuff done so that I'll be, having that going forward. But I do already have an online store, so I am able to continue to sell through that.
Yeah, yeah, awesome.
With courier or porch drop off, like you said.
Okay, beautiful. It's amazing how adaptable we are. I find it fascinating how so quickly now we're having Zoom meetings and how fast.
Right. And I've heard a lot of stories about different things like that. But if you think about some of these large corporations, just think of all downtown Toronto, Bay Street, all those people, everybody's working from home now. And I have another interview that I did. She owns a mortgage brokerage, and 200 employees. Just went from working in the offices to working from home. It was totally seamless. She said they got it all done, and everybody was paid on time. No, not even a delay in that. So it is possible, and this shows you what is possible. And I think a lot of the corporations that were hesitant to have people working from home now see that it is possible and not some, scary thing that nobody's going to get any work done, or whatever that belief was. And now I think so many companies are going to embrace web conferencing where they may not have used it so much before. Now it's being used I think Zoom alone, I forget how many more users they said, but their stock went through the roof since this started. So you can't even find online, on Amazon, you can't even get a webcam because or monitors, or computer monitors, because everything was bought up for working from home. Because all of a sudden everybody was working from home and everybody needed monitors, needed webcams, whatever, depending on what you had. Like if you think of people working in an office, like my husband, for one thing, he had never, ever, ever, never worked from home, never wanted to work from home. He was one of those people, no. And now he's working from home all the time because, every single person is. They've sent him home with a monitor, keyboard, and a mouse, to hook his laptop into. So if all these companies had to buy up all this stuff, that's why I think there's nothing out there to be bought anymore.
That makes sense. It's so funny. I had a webcam, and whenever I do Skype laughter yoga almost daily, and I was always blurry. And I thought, it's because I moved so fast the camera couldn't keep up with me. And then I was going to do a podcast with a woman. So we had a Zoom chat, and she said, I think we're just going to do an audio call. I'm not going to do the video because your camera's crappy. And I started laughing. I said, oh, my camera's crappy. I said, I thought the technology couldn't keep up with me. So I got, I was supposed to do laughter yoga for it's a respite group for folks with, younger folks with dementia and stuff, but early ages. And so it's a group that I've done laughter yoga in person, and we had a gig booked, and of course everything got canceled. So she phoned me and said it's canceled. So I said, I understand. So I said, I'd be willing to do something by computer. And she said, oh, good. I was hoping you'd say that. So then I thought, oh my God, this crappy camera, I better get a new camera if I'm going to do laughter. It can't just be a blurry. So I did get a camera, and I was amazed that this was right at the beginning. The camera arrived the next day.
Yeah, you must have got it just, again, before everybody tried to get it all.
Yeah, I didn't think about being sold out. Sure.
Yeah. So your laughter yoga, before this, you did it in person, and now you're doing it online. Yeah,
I've had a couple of gigs online. It's it's a little bit funny online, just like anything. You have to adjust. It's certainly easier in person for people to get engaged and really be a part of the whole energy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I could see that.
but it worked out great. You know, we had people from across Canada, and these are a lot, you know, as soon as I said yes to that thing, because that's what I do. Someone, can you do this? Yes, of course. Oh, how am I going to do that? I don't know. As soon as I said yes, I was like, oh my gosh, wow. It's challenging enough working with folks with special needs, trying to get them to laugh and to understand what it's about without, because it's not a lot of talking. It's really just laughing and activities for laughter. So I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Oh, Michele, it worked out so beautifully. And again, people from across Canada, shut-ins, you know, that, so so they said, grab your families. So the families were there and we're all laughing together, because when you laugh together, it really connects you. It brings you to the present moment, like, you know, about Reiki. So when you're laughing, you can't be thinking about, oh my gosh, tomorrow, what, the future, anxiety about tomorrow, or fear about the past, or what's happening.
Yeah.
No, you're laughing, you're right here, right now. It brings you to the present. And it's so beautiful. It's just this magic thing. So for me, when I feel myself getting stressed and, I'm not breathing properly, I'm like, okay, I better breathe, because our brain requires 25% more oxygen than the rest of our body. Just as an operating principle, it's a machine. So when we're stressed, when we're not breathing properly, our body's not getting what it needs. So for sure, our brain isn't. And when we're stressed, that's when we need our brain. We need our little thinker to come up with solutions.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, right, have you ever lost your keys or your glasses or your phone, and you're like, wow, I gotta go, where am I? And you're flapping around. You're not breathing because you're like, I'm gonna be late, I gotta, as long as you're flapping around, you're never gonna find whatever you're looking for, right? Because your brain's like, oh, I know where, oh, I'm literally being deprived of oxygen, I can't help you.
Right.
So I can't, right? I can't stop you from losing something. Sorry about that. But a tip for next time you do misplace something, when you're flapping around, go, oh, what did Cathy say? Stop, take a nice long deep breath, and then laugh it off, ha 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 ha, and then apologize to the people that you just like shouted at. And then you, oh my gosh, my phone is right there. Look at that. Come on.
Right. Yeah. And that's, you know what, that's so important now, because I think before this happened, I know everybody was operating at such a fast pace.
Mm.
I don't think we ever knew how to breathe properly. I think we're always going and doing shallow breathing, especially, you know, running around from whatever, you know, whether it's work or kids' activities or, you know, networking events, other events, social events, whatever. It's always one thing after another that you're having to rush off to. And I think that now we've, you know, everything's been removed, all the distractions have been removed from us, and we have the chance to now just be present. And so I think that that laughter yoga definitely is something that helps. And also, breathing is such an important thing to consider right now, with the virus itself being a respiratory illness. You know, just showing us how important deep breathing is. And that's something that, like you say, causes you to be present and grounded as well. And just like when people have said, if you're getting upset, to just stop and count to 10. Well, you need to stop and, like you say, take a few deep breaths, and then, you know, you'll have a different reaction after.
Mm. That's what I find with social media. Is very emotional. It's very reactionary. You know, you read something and you're like, that's not right. You type out something. I mean, I can say I never respond right away. I might type something and then I delete it, because it does feel good to respond, to even just for yourself. But I find if, you know, if you engage while you're in that emotional state, that's when you get people responding back. Like, then you get this battle with people that you don't even know, by the way.
True. That is so true. And I've heard that same thing for responding to social media or emails as well. If there's an email you get that you know just you want to respond to actually, even like you say, you can write it out, but just don't send it. Take some time to just wait, wait it out a bit and take some deep breaths before you start. And then you might have a totally different view
Absolutely.
and you're not going to respond the same way. Like you say too, as soon as people start doing that on social media, then you get that back and forth. And I've had that happen. And I've been guilty of it myself when I've responded to some things that have upset me, and I have responded when I shouldn't have, you know, when I should have waited, because then it just gets in that battle, and then it's nothing good ever comes of that.
Nothing good ever comes of it, and you feel bad and they feel bad, and yeah, it's an interesting time that we're in, you know, again with this social media, and it's so
That's
beautiful.
true. Yeah, exactly. We've never been through something like this with the social media that we have. Even when we went through SARS in what was that, 2003, I think it was.
3, yeah.
Yeah. So we had social media, but not to the extent we have it now.
Exactly.
So this social media side of things, that's played a huge part in this whole pandemic, and you can still see some of the conspiracy theorists posting things like that, and controversial things that you don't know what to believe sometimes. So yeah, it's that's why, like I say, I've unfollowed a lot of people on Facebook. It's the first time I've actually used the unfollow in the settings. So yeah, because I think the important thing is to keep a positive mindset right now. And I know a lot of the other thing is too, to look at the way you were living your life, and were you happy with the way you were living and the daily habits you had or anything like that. And this is the time to make some changes if there was something you always wanted to do, or some habit that you were not happy with what you were doing before. I think a lot of people are discovering new daily habits now that all the distractions, and they don't have anywhere to go as such except grocery store. People are appreciating nature a lot more. I know a lot of people are out actually noticing nature and actually just breathing it in. And again, that's something that also will bring you to be present when you just sit in nature. I think people are really going to notice the not having to commute to work. It's something that, like, talk about causing stress. Traffic, especially Toronto and surrounding areas, that commute alone is on average an hour each way. So people are having, this is giving people more time as well.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of room for pause and reflection, and I think it's hopeful. Again, because my worm business is so busy and people are thinking about growing food, which when you have your hands in the soil, there's antidepressant microbes in the soil. So just the activity of being out there, you can't be connected to your cell phone when you're gardening because you'll get your cell phone.
Right, true, yeah, exactly. There are benefits to that. And I think I could see that, like you say, you're busy now, but I can see this continuing.
Yes.
I can see people having, they're deciding to grow a vegetable garden now, and I can, they'll just continue. And same with using one of these worm units, continuing it as well. Again, right now the earth is healing with everybody staying at home and less pollution and all that, you see, you see all of that. And of course, this with the worms is again good, good for the environment.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It really is. Like, they really are the perfect little indicator of something that is so reviled, like the word worm. Like, right, can of worms is a bad thing. Although whenever I hear can of worms, I go, yay, can of worms. That's true. Viruses, computer viruses are often worms, tapeworms. Like, worm is just a bad
Yeah,
word.
you're right.
Yeah, it does have a negative connotation. So, but if we look at the worm itself, it has no bones, five hearts in the little worm. Wow, that's a lot of.
I had no idea.
Right, I know. And they're right beneath our feet. They turn garbage, like the green bin, which is really gross. They turn all that material into something that's usable, but it's not usable in the form that in the green bin. It's not usable that way. It's just rotting food. It smells, maggots, whatever. It's just a horrible system that costs a lot of money. And so if we can get past our revulsion of the worms.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and realize, I mean, because, before starting my worm business, I was actually afraid of worms. Not right before. What am I afraid of? I'll have a business in that. No. But, I was grossed out by worms like other people. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it's that's why I was put here. I really think to do this worm business, that's why I was put on earth. I believe it. And that's why I was afraid of them. So then when people say, ew, worms in the house, blah, I can say, I know, I get it. And so what happened when I moved to Bradford, I was from Toronto, I am from Toronto. I moved up to Bradford in 93, and a teacher friend of mine asked, she was going away for the summer in 93, and said, can you look after my worm bin? As an avid gardener and composter, I knew the value of the worm compost, but I didn't want worms in my house.
Right. Yeah.
But I said, okay, I'm going to take on the challenge. I think I come from a mind, we should try things ourselves. Like, don't let someone tell you, oh, you won't like that. Like, oh, liver and onions. Oh, you won't like liver. Oh, good. Thanks for saving me the hassle of trying it. Right? It's like, I think we should try ourselves. So even though I didn't want I didn't want worms in my house, but I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. It was horrible. I had fruit fly outbreak because I didn't do it properly. I mean, it was just awful. And I said, ugh, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. And now it's my business, 18 years.
Yeah.
So never say never is what I tell people. You never know. Like, that was just a little.
Exactly.
Right? The universe saying, here's something. Okay, you didn't like it. Okay, but now you were introduced, right? I was introduced. And then I got my psych degree. It was 15 years to get my psych degree. I only went at night, so that's fine. I graduated 2000, got a job at a group home, 10 homes and a farm, and they didn't compost. And so when I asked them about composting, they said, oh, we don't need the fertilizer because we have cows. So I was like, oh, what? So I realized, wow, people don't even connect what they're doing. Like, they're creating all of this compostable material, then they pay to have it shipped away, when they could take all that compostable material, they have all those people, and they could use those people to turn that material into something usable. If you don't need it, you could sell it. I guess I'm an entrepreneur.
Wow, that's that's very interesting. So how much can they compost, these worms?
So they eat about half their weight per day in food scraps. So a pound of worms, if you had a pound of worms, you would be looking at 3 to 4 pounds of food waste per week that they could manage. It's substantial. And then your paper scraps, so that's your food, and then they eat the paper as well. I'm not sure what Toronto does, but in York Region, they're encouraging everyone to shred their paper, but you can't put shredded paper in your blue bin.
Oh, okay. We don't, no, I don't have anything. I'm not aware of anything like that.
Yeah.
That we can't
Just,
put shredded paper or anything.
well, not loose, just because of the technology. It's all like conveyor belts, and the shredded paper would be like a snowstorm. So no shredded
Mm,
paper. But so if you shred your paper so that nobody takes your identity, then you've got all this shredded paper that ends up in the landfill then.
right. Yeah.
So the worms can.
And the worms can actually, oh, okay. That's very interesting. Yeah, did not know any of that. And I think that's something that going forward is, yeah, definitely. Uh, can how can this be made into bigger scale?
Well, that's what people ask me. And my goal when I started my business, maybe not the best business model, but my goal when I started my business was worms in every living space, every house, every apartment, every school, every business. Um, I just thought that's what I wanted to do. The shine has been taken off. I'm still passionate about it, but I think it was last fall, I had a bit of a crisis where one more person said to me, "Ooh, worms in the house." And I was like, man, like when are people going to get it? And I just kind of got sad that 18 years I've been saying, come on, worms in the house. You need to have worms in the house. And I realized, oh man, this maybe is never going to be a solution. Maybe not during my lifetime, this won't be a solution for people. Because we can't get past our fear of these little creatures that are just here to help us.
Yeah, but I think now after going through this,
Oh, it's different.
I think people might have a different view.
They did, yes. We've changed our whole thinking. I think, yes, I agree. I think we've turned a corner. Yay!
I think so. I think so. I mean, going forward, I think where people are going to really appreciate the little things that we took for granted before, and also just realizing that we don't we don't own the earth. We don't have the right to take the resources from it and do whatever we want with it, but rather that we're visitors. Really, we're visitors on earth. And so the whole, thinking we're better than worms, I think that whole thinking is changing for sure.
Yeah, they've been around since the
With this.
dinosaur. They're still here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and the worms are free to go wherever they want now.
Right.
And we're not. So
yeah, it's interesting. It really is fascinating how we are shifting. I find even my own thinking. I've been involved in the environmental movement, I guess, for 18 years now. And just recently, I'm having thoughts about different aspects of the environmental movement that may not be so environmental. And it's kind of shaken my world a little bit, where I was like, oh yeah, we should have solar panels and wind turbines and stuff. And it's like all of those things, we need fossil fuel to make all of those things in the first place. And then if it's a cloudy day, we don't have a way to store, not yet, we don't have a way to store the energy. So, we're going to have a lot of power failures if we're just looking at alternatives at the moment. We haven't figured out a way to store the energy. So yeah, I'm kind of having my own little crisis about the environmental movement.
Okay, well, this is the time to get innovative. This is the time that people some new ways of being are born out of times like this. And it's the time to be creative and think of, so that's definitely one aspect that we need to do something with respect to the energy going forward. So this is the time for people to just start using your imagination and anything is possible, really. If this doesn't show you that anything is possible, who would have ever thought everything would get shut down? We'd be locked up in our homes like this, and everything would be closed, even Las Vegas, right? So yeah, this shows you that there's no point in going around saying, oh, this can't be done, this can't be done, because anything can be done.
That's true. That's exciting.
And can be done very quickly too. Look how quickly everything shut down.
Right. Yeah, it's hopeful. It really is hopeful. We're so adaptable. I think we kind of were lulled into a sense of security or whatever, everything going along, everything always there, you know, as when we needed it, everything was there. And so this has really given us time to pause and think about, what do we really want our lives to look like?
Right. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Cathy, for speaking with me this morning. It was great talking to you and learning about these worms as well. And I'm not a fan of worms, but I think I'd like to get some more information on this as well. And so I will put your information underneath this interview when I put it up in the group. And again, thank you for your time, and stay safe. And I look forward to when we can see each other in person again.
A big hug, Michele. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I appreciated getting to know you better. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.